Hello everyone from Chicago. We don't have much time here, less than 24 hours, but as you can see, I'm trying to make the most of it. We are on a 10-day trip to 4 big cities, and since we are on the road again, I wanted to talk and share our thoughts and experiences about our nomadic lifestyle that we've had for the last 2 years. We are on the road again.
Breakfast is available from 6:30 to 11.
We just made it to Chicago and we were able to get the room early, which is always awesome. We are all set up here already. Rachel has to work. Today is Friday and it's a regular work day for her. I'm gonna be doing some things here too, but hopefully during the next 24 hours, that's all we've got here in Chicago, 24 hours, I will find some time to go out and make some images. It's almost 5, we haven't left the hotel, and I think, Rach, are you done?
Not yet.
Not yet, but we are about to leave pretty soon. This is not the greatest view ever, but I've been taking a few pictures. I think I can make an image here. I really like the building, the brick and the windows. I think it looks kind of cool. Not seeing many photos today around here. That's too bad. Anyway, we get to go to places because we travel, as you can see, but it's not like vacation. We still have to work many hours, and it's not like we are exploring cities and places the whole day. Well, I kind of do because I photograph, I go out and take photos, but that's part of my job. I don't go to touristic places or do touristic stuff. We do get to spend more time in each place though. Unlike your typical holiday where you might spend 1 week at the place and then go back home, in the last 2 years we got to spend 1 month in France, 2 months in Portugal, we lived in Indiana, we lived in Spain, we spent 1 month in Portland. We were at many places for a significant amount of time. I know that a month is not a long time, but you get to know the place. You go to the same grocery store, you go to the same gas station, pharmacy, convenience store, all of those things. It's almost like living like a local. It's almost like having mini lives within one life, and I think it's a very cool experience. just got back to the hotel. Today has been a very long day. We woke up at 5:30. It's already 10 p.m. This is a very nice room. This is a very nice hotel. It's in a very nice location right in downtown. We don't always stay in hotels like this. We couldn't afford it. When we travel, we usually stay in Airbnbs. When you get them for 3, 4, 5 weeks, for longer periods of time, you usually get better deals. But one of the biggest benefits about being nomadic and being on the road, it has forced us to reduce our possessions, or at least what we travel with. What we have with us is just the basics, but it's all we need. These are my 2 bags. This is my big bag with all my clothes, and I keep the tripod there and some accessories and toiletries and whatnot. And that's my camera bag. That's just the laptop case, but that's pretty much it. That's all I have. Everything I've needed and everything I've used in this trip, in these 5 months, it's there. Rachel has a few more things, but it's still pretty good. She's got this backpack, and then she's got a bigger suitcase. But the situation is much better than when we started all this nomadic life a couple years ago when we left Portland. That was a little bit crazy because we had just left an apartment full of stuff. We had a hard time getting rid of some of that stuff. The car was completely packed to the top, and we had a box on the roof that it was full too. We traveled that road trip for 2 months with too much stuff. It just made everything much harder than it needed to be. And now that we move from one place to another very frequently, very often, sometimes weekly, having just 2, 3 small bags makes everything much easier. And also having fewer things makes taking care of it much easier, and I worry less about the stuff that I have. Everything is under control. I know everything I have. For me, is much more manageable this way. So early. Okay, now it's all good. That's a little walk I would never dare to do in Portland at this time of the day, but it seems to be pretty fine here. Man, that's too bad. This is where I wanted to come for a photo of the skyline. I was here a little bit over a year ago. I made a photo with the Bronica, but I wanted to repeat it now with my digital camera, but I guess it can't happen just yet. I'll have to wait. I'm gonna go to the beach and try to find some images from there. I'm trying to make a long exposure here with the built-in ND filter. I can't get too far, only down to 1.3 seconds. So I'm gonna use what they are, probably the tiniest ND filters you've ever seen. This right here is a complete system. It's a 3 stop, a 10 stop, no, 3, 6 and 10, I believe. So I'm gonna put the 6 stop here on the lens. That combined with the 3 stops that I have in the camera, that would make for 9 stops. We should be more than enough to get a decent long exposure here. Okay, so I'm going for a longer exposure now. I'm using the 10 stop ND filter. The exposure is gonna be around 2 minutes, and I have to use the cable remote because the camera can only go up to 30 seconds. Anything beyond that, you have to do it manually with a cable remote, which is too bad because the remote is pretty much bigger than the camera itself. I wish the camera had an option internally built in so you could set the exposure time manually, say 2 minutes, and the camera could do it, because that would make this the ultimate package for a long exposure photography. I think it's pretty cool that I'm shooting long exposures with this tiny camera and these tiny ND filters. I still need a tripod, that is very true. I forgot the small one at the hotel, so this setup looks a little bit silly with this small thing here and a big tripod bed. It is true that it's more inconvenient to operate this camera for long exposures because it doesn't have as many buttons. So to go manual, you have to go through the menus to change the aperture, the shutter speed, to focus manually and stuff like that. But I think the convenience in size and weight makes up for the inconvenience when using the camera. Finally made it to where I wanted to come this morning. Gonna make a few long exposures here, even though it's kind of windy, so hopefully they work. Look who's come to join me. Hello, good morning.
Hi.
So it looks like this is gonna be the last one because Rachel here is in a little bit of a hurry and I guess we need to go anyway.
I'm not in a hurry. Don't say that. I'm not in a hurry.
She is. Alright, so we're back at the hotel. We're already packed. We need to leave for the airport now. We have a flight to catch. Just to finish this video and to wrap up on the nomadic life that we've been having for the last 2 years, the last thing I wanted to mention is the relationships. Friendships are a little bit harder to maintain when you are traveling all the time. It's much harder to stay in touch with friends and family. Although I gotta say, the time with family, we still spend a lot of time with our families, but instead of, for example, visiting once a week, once every 2 weeks, once a month, we visit once a year, but we stay with them for longer periods of time, like a month or 2 months, and we get to live the everyday with them. Maybe that makes it more meaningful. I don't know, it's kind of hard to tell. I don't know if you want to share something about, I think she does, about the whole packing situation, living off a suitcase for like months now. So what do you think about that? Was it hard? Has it gotten any easier?
At the beginning of the trip, I had a big backpack and a small backpack, and now I have a medium-sized suitcase and my big backpack.
She's talking about this trip, the
Yes.
5-month trip to the US.
So I bought a few clothes, and so I have a hard time staying within my limits, but
what do you think about it? Like living off a suitcase?
I'm fine with it.
Do you wish you had more space and you could buy more stuff, carry more
Well,
stuff with you?
I don't like to carry so much. It's annoying and uncomfortable, so having less stuff to carry around is important. I think the difference with this trip especially is that in the past 6 months or even more than that, we've both lost some weight, so like
less things to carry.
less things to carry, sure, but also a lot of the clothes that I brought with me don't fit me anymore. That's a great thing. So I was happier with myself and got to buy some new clothes on this trip. So that was a good and bad thing that happened, but
So yeah, that's the thing. Like when you only have a very limited space, when you buy something, you usually have to get rid of something else. It's a compromise. You always have a very limited space. Maybe that keeps you more in control of what you can buy or what you should or shouldn't buy. But do you feel like you are missing something when we travel? Like, have you ever felt like, oh man, I wish I had another dress or something?
no, not usually. I mean, and if I do want that, I just can grab it. I
Buy
mean,
it.
the thing I miss the most about this lifestyle is kind of things like that are related to work. I miss working off of a monitor. Just using the laptop is kind of annoying and yeah, not that comfortable. So
Well, you
having
have a
the whole
small laptop. Like for example, I have a 15-inch.
even so, I like having the whole home office set up where you've got a better chair, you've got your whole desk set up the way that you want it. I have a standing desk thingy on top of the desk.
That's true.
In Spain, so ergonomically it's a lot better. So that's probably what I miss the most. But everything else, it's good to be minimal.
Yeah, that's important when you work on a few hours a day to have a good chair and a good desk.
Yeah, I almost never have that when we travel, so I miss that the most.
I think that's it. I don't know if you want to say anything else.
No, I agree about being able to spend more time with people. You know, you don't see them as frequently. When you do see them, it's usually for a longer amount of time. You know, working remotely, we were staying with my parents, and I can just take my mom to breakfast before I start work, or we can go out for dinner later, or we
On a
can
Wednesday morning.
Yeah, that's like real life with people, what they do every day, and so I think that's a nicer way to spend some time. Because like you were saying, if you have like 2 days with someone, you try to pack it all in, and it's fun, but it can be a little bit tiring and stressful too.
We are learning stuff. We are experimenting new things. Like for example, food. We haven't talked about food, but you get to go to many places and try different foods, and we really love food, and that's something that we really like to do when we go to a new city and just try new stuff. In the end, it has advantages and disadvantages like everything. At some point in life we'll settle down somewhere, I guess. I don't know where that will be or when that will be, but we will have to. I guess in our case it's a little bit more complicated because her family is here in the US, my family is in Spain. It's hard to keep a balance between that, and if we do have a job and we do have to take days off to visit our families in both countries, it's going to be hard to go by our own to visit another countries. That's what we are trying to do now that we are still young. Not that much anymore. I don't know if you have any questions about how we do all of this traveling and this nomadic stuff that we do. Other than that, we need to leave right now because we are always on the move, and this is just another example. We are catching a flight now in a couple hours to DC. It's the first time I visit DC, so that's pretty exciting. I'm gonna see you there in a few days. For now, thank you so much for watching, and yeah, see you in DC.
Oh, can I say one more thing?
Just one more thing.
There are little inconveniences about this lifestyle that, you know, sometimes if you're in a bad mood, you might find yourself complaining about. But if I reflect, if I take a moment just to think about our lifestyle a little bit harder from a different perspective, then we're lucky to be able to do it and incredibly privileged, and I think it's wonderful. So I'm happy we can do this.